Of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the Economic Community of West African States and Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has convened another extraordinary summit of the authority on the political situation in Niger Republic. The summit will hold in Abuja on Thursday, August 10, 2023. A statement published on the website of the West African Regional Bloc said on Monday. According to this statement, the Ecowas leaders will be discussing the political situation and recent developments in Niger Republic during the summit. The summit is coming after the expiration of the 7-day ultimatum given to the military junta by Ecowas to reinstate ousted President Mohammed Bazoum or face military action. In the meantime, Niger's coup leaders have closed the country's airspace until further notice. The 7-day ultimatum given the military junta expired on Sunday, remaining adamant after holding a massive rally showcasing support from the civilian population who joined the military leadership in keeping vigil on the streets of Niamey and other major cities across Niger Republic. Well, let's get some insight on this developing issue. Joining us on the program is Dr. Umar Ardo, a politician and a public affairs commentator, to further unpack the developments with regards to what's happening in Niger Republic. Doctor, good evening, and thank you very much for joining us on the News Hour.
Thank you.
First of all, your initial thoughts about the ultimatum. Now that it has elapsed, apparently the military juntas has called the bluff of ECOWAS, and so far nothing has happened. What is your reading of the situation?
Well, the ultimatum didn't say that at its expiration we are going to invade the next day. It didn't. And we have seen the defense chiefs met and they resolved that they are ready. They are only waiting for the go-ahead from the ECOWAS authority. This go-ahead hasn't come, but they are going to hold their meeting on Thursday. And I believe the envoy sent to Niger, led by our former head of state, General Abdul Salam, with His Eminence the Sultan, they have done a good work. They have engaged the junta, and the junta is willing and ready, to dialogue with ECOWAS in order to resolve the problem. They know that if they do not comply with ECOWAS, they are likely going to be war, which all of us are opposed to. Now, what I believe the ECOWAS needs to do is to give the junta a face-saving strategy, an exit, a negotiated exit. They should discuss with them and agree on what to do. Let them call them and ask for their input in how to resolve this.
Do you believe that option is on the table? Because you look at the reading of the body language of the military leadership in Niger Republic, it doesn't look like they're willing to budge. No,
it's because of the way they were approached. They were not told of anything. They were given an ultimatum. Their borders were closed. Their airspace was closed. Their power supply.
Economic sanctions?
Yes, economic sanctions and so on and so forth. So we didn't actually give them, a room to discuss. And you know what it is? You said that return this one that you have overthrown and then go. Now, if you return him, what will be the fate of the perpetrators of the coup? We know you
think there has to be an exit strategy that guarantees their safety?
There has to be a negotiated exit.
Right.
If they don't do that, then the junta will definitely dig in, because any other thing that the junta, they know that it is their lives that are on the line. Okay. If anything happens, they will be executed. And if you know that your life is on the line, you will die fighting.
Okay, you look at the situation, right? This is a very popular military takeover. Apparently, judging by what's happening on the streets of Niger, the people are happy about this particular development. But the military intervention itself is very, very unpopular across the continent, especially. What comes next for both ECOWAS if they still have to contemplate military intervention, and especially for the military leadership? What comes next, especially when you look at ties being cut and airspaces being shut?
I can assure you both sides need a face-saving device. ECOWAS needs a face-saving device because it has already acted in such a way that it ought not to have acted. They've given an ultimatum. The ultimatum has failed, and the generality of our people in Nigeria and across the continent, they are opposed to this. And unfortunately, there seems to be a new revival against colonialism or neo-colonialism. So the wind is sweeping across Africa and West Africa, and especially across French-speaking countries. Let us not be on the wrong side of history, because when the wind of change is blowing and you want to go against the tide, you will end up being blown, away.
Doctor, you seem to be very optimistic about negotiations and dialogue. The Ecowas sent a delegation. The military leadership refused to see them. They saw them. I mean, even the Abdul Salami delegation, they did not meet them.
They saw them.
They met the leadership, not the leadership of...
They met the third...
They did not meet with Chiani, who is the leader of the COUPists.
He was out of the country.
Right.
He was in Conakry. Just when you people, the Nigerians and Ecowas were moving people across for diplomatic discussion, they themselves, they are doing so. They are not sitting at home.
It is our understanding that the Ecowas delegation that didn't even spend the night in Niger Republic were not received by the leadership of the military.
The Ecowas delegation received them well. They sent the third most high-ranking general and high-ranking member of the coup. The second-ranking member of the coup was not in the country, and protocol. The head of the junta will not just sit down and open his arms and say, "Come over." And besides, there is suspicion in the junta. The junta will obviously suspect. You said you are going to kill me. Then you send me a delegation to come and talk with me. I will, of course, be
I'm not
suspicious.
sure the word kill was used.
When you are going to invade them, you are going to go into war. War is killing.
I think the point of the intervention is to reinstall Mohammed Bazoum.
Is to remove them first and then install Bazoum. Then what happened to them after?
Okay.
Their fate is lying in the balance.
Just on a final note on Niger, because we have to talk about the ministerial confirmation. How do you see this ending?
Well, I don't know how it will end, but I suggest that ECOWAS should give the Nigerian junta a face-saving exit device.
And will they take it?
A negotiated exit. They will take it with Abdul Salam and with the Sultan. I can guarantee you they will take it. Because the officers that were there, some of them were trained in Nigeria Defense College here. Most of them are trained by Nigerians. We know each other. There is intermarriages amongst each other. They know them, one-on-one, so they will accept. And it is in the best interest of ECOWAS, and in the best interest of the sub-region, in the best interest of Nigeria, and in the best interest of the Tinubu regime to give a negotiated exit so that we have a face-saving device.
Okay, it remains to be seen what would come next. But bringing it back home to the conversation around ministerial screening, the Senate just confirmed 45 out of the 48 ministerial nominees that President Bola Tinubu sent in. The most notable omission from that list is former governor of Kaduna State. First of all, give me a summary of what you make of the nominations, the screening exercise, and this confirmation of 45 ministers designate.
Well, as for the nominees, I see the president made this nomination with an eye to the next election, either for 2027 or for a rerun after as an outcome of the tribunal. That informed the nomination because he brought in former governors who had support base and so on and so forth. So that is it. Then, as of the candidates, many of them, it's just, I can say, comme ça. They are there. The biggest problem that Buhari faced was to get, ministers that did not fit in their position, the offices that they held, and they could not give him good advice. As it is, if the president has surrounded himself with good advisors, this issue of Niger would have taken a different turn. The ultimatum could not have even come. he would have started with a dialogue. He would have actually, consulted first before taking decision. Now he took a decision, and this decision is coming, to hurt him and to hurt the regime. So I think he needs, to also beef up in some of these nominees.
Okay, as far as the confirmation is concerned, if you are in a Rufai's position, will you be worried that the Senate is yet to confirm you?
This is not the first time that Rufai is going to, facing this. When he was nominated as Minister of the FCT by the Obasanjo regime, the Senate rejected him. The Senate.
But this wasn't a rejection per se.
No, I understand, but at least this one, they said that they have stepping it down. I believe he will somehow scale through. And for whatever you will say of Nasrul Rufai, he is not the best of people that I would say I would relate with. But at least, he has the guts to say his own mind, the way he thinks things, should be said. And that will go for the regime. The biggest problem he's also facing is he has too many enemies, too many political enemies. Some generic, some personal.
Okay.
And that is not good, for a regime to have in office.
Yeah, and just a yes or no question. Are you satisfied with the performance of the Senate as far as the screening is concerned?
I would neither say yes or no.
Right, okay. Dr. Bola, thank you so much for sparing your time for joining us on the News Hour. We appreciate your insight on this conversation. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Right. All right, we'll now join Abdul Latif Aliu from Lagos via Zoom, who would shed light on some of the developments in Niger, especially with regards to that closure or shutting down of the airspace and how it could have a ripple effect as far as air travel is concerned, because there are a lot of concerns around how that could actually trigger a steep rise in the prices of air tickets, especially outgoing and inbound flights coming into this part of the world. Abdul Latif, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening.
Right. First of all, give us an understanding of what this actually means as far as the aviation sector is concerned. What sort of disruption are we likely going to see?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me first of all start by saying that the situation in Niger Republic is no longer news, and we also understand the fact that yesterday, which was Sunday, was the expiration of the deadline given to the COUP leaders in Niger Republic to actually restore democracy to that country and reinstate the detained president, Mohammed Bazoum. And maybe as a kind of preemptive measure, the COUP leader in the Niger Republic quickly announced the shutdown of the airspace in Niger Republic as more like a preemptive measure to prevent any form of attack. For now, the situation is anytime airspace is shut down, definitely the civil aviation is affected. We still remember what happened in Sudan in May just recently, which affected the Hajj flight to Saudi Arabia. Now, a lot of flights, especially flights that are connecting Europe, there is no way they will not be affected, because Niger airspace is a major airspace for that. Most of the airlines that are going to European countries, that they have to fly over the Niger airspace. It's not that they're actually landing or having a stop in Niger, but they will fly over it. But with the closure of the airspace, it means they will have to reroute their flight, which is going to take another more like 30 minutes, 1 hour of flight time for most of the airlines.
Perhaps more money as far as passengers are concerned. What do you think is likely going to happen as far as air travel, economically speaking, for passengers who are traveling in or coming back this way? What is likely going to happen as a result of this impasse?
Okay, when we recall what happened with the case of Sudan, most of the airlines that were actually allocated were assigned to airlift our pilgrims there. They had to return to the drawing table by renegotiating with NACO. But what we actually find out today is that as far as we are at the moment, we have not really seen any significant change in airfare. They are still monitoring the situation, but there is no way it will not affect airfare, and most of the airlines will begin to adjust their fare because they will have to pass over different airspace just to avoid that Niger airspace. And what that means is that they will have to burn extra fuel, they will have to spend more money on their crew and several other logistics. Now, immediately, we've not really seen any major effect. But when this issue is still ongoing and we've not been able to find a solution to it, there is no way some of the airlines will not adjust their fare, because what we're actually witnessing is the fact that most of the airlines, especially those going to Europe, they will have to probably reroute their flight map, probably going through Chad or going through other countries just to avoid that Niger airspace. And this means extra cost for most of the airlines.
Okay. I suppose it also means extra risk. And for the airlines, they would have to consider their risk versus reward ratio, and that would count in pounds or dollars or whatever the case may be for passengers flying in and out of this part of the world. Abdul Latif Aliyu, thank you very much for the insight and the analysis. We really appreciate you very much for joining us tonight.